rico que hay en el menú. Dile que se destila, que ya estás convencida. Well, welcome to a very special edition of Hood Healing. Today we're going to talk about Lydia.
Peso Pluma opening for the Dodgers tomorrow, throwing the first pitch.
No, we love our Peso Pluma, but we'll be talking about today. We are talking about
breaking Mexican stereotypes.
Yes, but first, we've been keeping a secret from you all.
Yes, we have.
A big secret, and we, are all about being transparent. So, tell us, what secret have we been keeping?
We're having a baby. Thank the Lord Jesus Christ, we're having a baby. It finally happened for us, guys. See, that's what I tell you guys. I said on the last podcast that we had, don't lose hope, don't lose faith, and keep your options open. We tried a new doctor, and he was freaking awesome. And, we're so happy that we got blessed with the baby. Still praying on it, though, praying everything continues to stay going well. And thank you for everybody who reached out to us, showed love. We appreciate it. Both me and Claudia Azucena.
Appreciate it. For clarification, I am not having a baby. The factory is long shut down. There's cobwebs.
You don't know that.
There's cobwebs in there.
You don't know that. Some little little guy may come out of there.
Oh Lord girl. Jesus, please.
A little Francisca.
I'm good. I am good. Thank you though. So yeah, go ahead. Start us off.
All right. So breaking Mexican stereotypes. We all grew up, some of us in those Hispanic households that are very, by the book. I know I have family that's very by the book. So we'll start off with something that me and Susie always talk about. I know I mentioned it to you the other day. You had said that you don't see a problem with it, but what is it? Not inviting kids to the wedding.
To the wedding.
Yeah. Like I've seen it. I've heard it, how some people get upset because they don't invite kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of like these breaking these stereotypes or like breaking patterns. And, as we get older and we kind of like, especially I think there's this push and pull of being Americanized, holding on to your Mexican culture. And, when you're socialized in America, it's a very independent country where it's like, you do your thing, I do my thing, as long as we're not bugging each other, like you do you. Whereas in Mexican culture, it's very like what we call an interdependent culture, where it's like, especially when you're in a very small town, everyone knows everybody's business, but everybody's there to uplift and support each other. And so it gets kind of murky in terms of boundaries. But, kids are a big part of celebrations in Mexican families. Kids are such a big part of that. And I think, it's great, but I think there are times where it may not always be appropriate to have kids. I think there's always, like, for example, I know that I have said that before and people get very bothered by the fact that they're like, oh my gosh, like she's such a bitch for not having kids. But it's like, listen, I'm having a birthday party. I want to get turned up. I want to be drinking. I want to be doing what I'm going to do. I want to be twerking. And I don't want someone's 2-year-old
there
watching this go down, because this is not appropriate. Now, if I were having a more family focused birthday party, like a little barbecue, then I would be like, yeah, for sure, and we do things like that. We have like our movie nights, but once in a while, it's just like we want to do adult stuff. And I don't think it's appropriate. I think that's one thing in our culture that we tend to do, is like have parties where people are getting drunk and kids see that and think it's normal. And it's, like everyone has a story of a family member getting really drunk, or there's that one uncle that's always drunk at every party. And it's not a good thing for kids to be seeing that all the time.
In case they
So
fall or or get aggressive with someone, or because sometimes when you're drinking a lot, someone pisses you off, says the wrong thing.
I have seen a drunk adult fall on a toddler at a party. Yes,
Oh
at a
shit.
wedding. People were dancing, getting all turned up. Someone thought they were freaking breaking to electric boogaloo and fucking took a toddler out. And that's what I'm talking. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously a wedding is a different story, but too, it's like, you don't know what people's budgets are. Like, if you want to have it at a nice venue, they're making you pay like $75 for a 2-year-old that's going to eat one chicken nugget. Like, I'd be like, sorry, girl.
Yeah. I mean,
I'll catch you later.
as far as that goes, like not having kids, I think I would want that, because I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to worry about kids running around and falling and getting hurt and stuff like that. Like, I think I would have like the kids that are like in my family.
Yeah, like your nieces,
Yeah.
nephew.
But other kids, like, no, I'm sorry, call your babysitter, let them know that you need to come through. They need to come through. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no. That's one of the ones that we were talking about. And then for sure, you have to get married through church.
Well, we did not, so we are sinners.
I know. To me, elope was the best thing ever.
Well, you would not. You would not even be able to get married in the Catholic Church, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, either way, like I think that it was the best decision we made. Like, and we didn't even go in with the intention of getting married. We went in with the intention of getting information and stuff like that. And the lady said, "Why don't you just do it now?" So we looked at each other and we're like, "Well, don't we need a witness?" And they're like, "No, because of COVID." We literally went in there with masks, both of us. And it's so cool because they had like Alicia Keys playing in the background. You know what I'm saying? Everything just felt so right.
What was it? The Boo song with Usher?
No, no. Well, I don't even remember the song, but I was too busy looking into Susie's eyes.
Oh,
And then, but we both had our mask on. It was crazy because we both had our mask on, and Susie has tears running down her eyes, and like we have our mask on, and then after the girl was like, "All right, you guys can kiss you can kiss your bride." And I remember like I was like, "Can I take my mask off?" And she was like, "Yeah, go ahead."
No, you got to kiss with the mask on.
But I mean, growing up, like I always would hear people say, like, "No, you have to get married through the church. It's the right thing to do." You know what I'm saying? So that's.
Yeah. Did your parents get married through the church?
No, they did not. They didn't. But I mean, I grew up with hearing that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My parents didn't, though. My parents went to the court and tied the knot.
Yeah, and we also tied the knot in the court.
I think we all did it at the same
same courthouse. They're like Marquez family. But yeah, so I mean, for us, like we were gonna do it because like our families are both Catholic. My mom's family is pretty. I mean, not as strict, but my grandma is a diehard Catholic. She got a direct phone line to Jesus. Like she says her rosary every night, her prayers. Something goes on, you're like, call Nana. She got the fast line to the prayer line. But then obviously we were always. I think because of some of these like family boundaries, like who was going to be at the wedding, how we were going to get married, where we were going to get married, like it became like very to the point where I felt very frustrated, like forget it. Like literally we were just like having so many issues with people not understanding that this was our day, this was our celebration. Like there was, certain ways we wanted to do stuff. And at that time, I don't think we were able to really voice like what our boundaries were around that. So I finally was like, forget it. And then, we were thinking about like our 10-year anniversary, our 15, we'd get married in the church, and it just never happened. And now we're not Catholic any longer, just because, obviously we have a child that is, trans. We have, family members that are part of the LGBTQ community. And just, it's like if our family members and our people cannot also be, married and whatnot, then I just don't feel comfortable. Like,
yeah.
And to be quite honest, like, it's a little bit sad because I always really wanted to do that. But at the same time, it's like, I think that I can't, continue to support those institutions that are, giving money to people to, take away rights, which that shit literally happened this week, and it's like, I can't support that. So,
Yeah.
anyhow, moving along.
Yeah. But I mean, also, what you just mentioned, like, I think it's hard to, like, at least with my family, like, growing up, like, you were brought up inviting everybody, like
Mm-hmm.
your whole family. And now as I get older and, you start seeing like the cost of things and how expensive it is. And, you basically want the people who actually want to be there for you. You know what I'm saying? That actually want to enjoy themselves around you and around those, like those that you love. You know what I'm saying? So that was another one, that you have to invite every single person. If not, then people get mad. Like, for example, my grandma got mad one time. She gets mad sometimes when, you don't invite a certain family member, because she's like, we're a family, everybody should be there and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it's not, I mean, before I would respect it. And now, like, I think even as we start preparing, I'm saying, hopefully when our baby's here and we start, you know, getting ready for like birthday parties and stuff like that, like, no, like the list is cut super short.
And girl, you got a big
Hell yeah, we
family.
got a big ass family, and I think that's why it's been hard, like in the past. It's not hard anymore because now it's like my list is,
Yeah, I
but
mean, it's like people. I think that's another this underlying sort of like toxic pattern of like you ride or die for
yeah,
your family, and although I think in theory, right, like really supporting and being there for our family, our biological family, is like such a great idea. When people are engaging in very very toxic behavior that continues to hurt us, um then why should we put up with it? I mean, because I think that's like, especially when they're, considered like the elders, it's like, well, yeah, they treat you like shit, but they're still your mom and dad, or you're so and so and so and so. You should still blah blah blah. And it's like, but why? But
yeah,
but why are we doing that? And it's not to say that you go out of your way to be like mean or rude to people, but like you're gonna bring the energy, and then you're not going to have access to my life.
yeah,
And some people get really butthurt about that, or they don't understand, like, if, for example, you don't have the budget. Like some people, it's especially right now with how things are, in costing, like some of it, I've heard this before too. Like, when Frank turned 50, we had a birthday party. We, invited his first cousins, which was a lot of people. We had like 100 people
mm,
on the list, and there was some people that assumed that they were going to be invited, and it was nothing personal, but it was just that we just did not have the budget. I mean, we literally spent a few $1,000s alone. I'm sorry, but y'all's like to drink.
yeah. We do.
And
Our family
and
does.
that is very expensive.
Speaking of drinks,
Thankfully, my compadre hooked us up with the food, but for the most part, like the renting tables, renting chairs, decorations, like all this stuff, like just adds up.
yeah,
And it's like I wanted to throw a very nice party for my husband.
intimate, like something intimate, something nice around people who truly want to be there, who truly care, and something that always sticks to my head when you said it once. People expect invites when they don't even invite you to their parties. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Or they
or
don't
their
even invite you
house.
to their house. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, people are always like, oh, like, for example, a lot of people were hitting me up um
Girl.
with the whole, when we posted about the baby, like, oh, well, don't forget to invite me to the baby shower, blah blah blah, this and that. I've seen you post like a lot of parties, and I've never got one invite, not one.
Your
So
girl,
you
I haven't seen
better,
you since elementary
yeah,
school. Don't be over here fucking asking for no baby shower invitation.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? But it's like stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that for us, and I know for Susie for sure, is like, it's something intimate, something nice, something small, with the people who have been there for us, who have cried with us, who have, those are the people that we want in our
Hmm.
little, get-togethers that will soon be happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, girl, we're over here trying to get a drape tent. Okay, we can only fit so many people under it.
Here's one that's gonna it's gonna poke you for sure. You can't compliment someone else's cooking.
Oh gosh, yeah.
In a Hispanic family, like if you compliment someone's pozole over the pozole you grew up with, like that's it, you're done. Fuck you, don't ever ask me for pozole, I'm never making it for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, this is like so emotionally immature in that it's like something, and we talked about this, you know, like it's called a scarcity mindset. And part of this just happens to, and this is something that I've recently discovered myself, but like, you know, when you grow up in, especially when you're an immigrant or you come from countries where it's been really impoverished, there's this mindset, and fucking America. Sorry, I'm not going to go on a tangent, but
Tomorrow's 4th of July, so be nice to America, please.
well, anyhow,
I'm playing.
You know, we grow up with this mentality that there's not enough for everyone. So, you know, it's like every squirrel has to get their nut and all this other business, all this other business. But the reality is obviously, you know, there's unlimited stuff for people in certain instances, but we grew up with this mentality that only, you know, only, like, for example, and I'm sure you felt this because I know when I was struggling to get pregnant, when someone else got pregnant, it was like, oh God, well, they had, I mean, I'm not saying you.
No,
but
I know, but I know what you're saying because I've witnessed it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I've seen people posting like, it's like you can only hope that you're next. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you feel that little like in your tummy, like when
how come they got it?
Yeah,
I
mean, because we didn't do it the same way. That's probably why it didn't happen for us. You know what I'm saying?
think America knows how
you know,
it's done.
but I mean, it's like you sit there and you're like, God, like when is it our turn? You know what I'm saying? Like, when will it be our turn? You know, and I mean, you're happy for the people that actually, you know, got pregnant or are pregnant and stuff like that. But it's just in your heart, you feel that little, that little ache, you know?
But it's like, you know, and people do it all the time. They're, you know, they see someone with a new car and they're just like, well, why did they? And it's like this mentality that like, hey, you got one. That's awesome. I'm going to get one too. And I feel like when you shift your mindset, I'm going to sound like a hippie, but when you shift your mindset to this mentality of like, everyone can have stuff, everyone can enjoy stuff, like, then you start to see like this, like, wow, like everything is possible. But I mean, I know that this seems like a stretch, but even I think that's like one attitude that comes out of this belief that you can only have like one person that knows how to cook this thing, and it becomes like this very competitive like vibe that happens. But I also think that can happen to parents and their children, like, oh, well, that's why I'm the best child, because only one, your parent could only possibly love one of you the most. And it's like, that's not even, when it comes to love, like that's like infinitive, in I don't know how to say that word. Infinite, I don't know. But too, you know, like I remember like, you know, hearing that constantly with my in-laws, like, oh, well, this is good, but my mom's is the best. And it's like, well, that's great, you enjoy your mom's cooking, but you could also enjoy some, like, there's not a competition. Okay, ain't nobody giving out blue ribbons because of this, you know.
Yeah. That's one. I mean, and I've heard it too. Like, I've complimented other people's food, and my mom's like, "Excuse me, you said what? Who's birria? Oh, I'm not making no more birria." My mom does make bomb ass birria though. Have you tried it?
No, I've only had her shrimp, and she is a good cook.
Yeah, I'm gonna have her make some birria. But that's one thing that we always talk about too. Like, you can't even fucking compliment someone else's food because you offend them automatically. Another one is, I went through this. My siblings went through this. You have to go to church every single Sunday. No ands, buts. You have to get your ass up and go to church every Sunday. That was my dad, at least. My dad, when we started going to church, you had to go to church, no matter what. And my cousins too. I remember that you had to go to church. if you spent the night at a cousin's house, you would stay up all night, like messing around, playing and stuff like that. But when it came to the morning, you had to get your ass up and go to church.
For a while there, we did that too. And I used to hate going to church. Absolutely hated it. And I just thought it was so boring.
Yeah.
Like, what was I doing here? And actually, as an adult, that feeling has not changed. I feel like I'm not somebody that gets inspired by church. And I'm sorry, maybe I'm a heathen. I don't know. Sorry, God.
That's you're talking to me, God. That's her.
I mean, I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God. I have my spirituality. I believe in miracles, all that stuff. But I don't know. Maybe because I've been to a couple different churches. And I've been to like an evangelical church, and I was like, this is not for me.
I've gone to a few churches too. Like I've gone to a few, like I think I went with Frank's brother to one, and that one scared me, so I didn't go back to that one.
I went to that one and I was scared too. I was like, oh my gosh, these people with their Bibles.
Yeah, I didn't go back to that one. That one scared me. But I've gone to other churches, like with my friend Mo and her family. That one was pretty cool. I went with one of my friends, and I didn't really like that church either. And the one that we grew up going to, I used to like it until one time we went to church. I convinced Susie to go to church with my parents and me, and we went to church and we sat in the front. My dad wanted to sit in the front, and as soon as we sat in the front, I already had my hair cut short. And the first thing, I made eye contact with the priest. I shit you not. And the first thing he started talking about was what?
Gays are
Gay
bad.
people, yeah.
They're going to hell.
Yeah, that God made Adam and Eve, blah, 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 this and that. And Susie fucking pinches my hand. And when we got out, Susie was like, this is why I don't like coming to church.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Moving on. Boys can have girls in the room, but girls can't because it isn't right. ¿Qué es eso? That's not respecting, blah, 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 this and that. Seen it happen. I don't agree with it. For me, thankfully, I had friends over. Okay. Like Susie was my best friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Lita never.
And meanwhile,
we're trying to have babies early on. And I remember Didi would always knock in the room. Dude, shout out to Didi, you fucking coochie blocker and shit. Didi would always fucking be knocking in the room, and we'd be like, fuck, open the door, Chubbs. I know you guys are in there. I saw Susie's car outside.
You're like, girl.
Dude. We'd open the door, Susie's all sitting in the corner all mad, and Didi's like, hi. Mariana too. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, and that's part of our culture is like this misogyny where it's like men are on the pedestal. We see this all the time. Mexican moms let their sons get away with fucking so much shit. I didn't have brothers, okay? So I don't know about this phenomenon, but I know I have a lot of friends who have brothers, and I will say my own mom's family, like on Christmas, we had to wait for my uncle every fucking year. He was late all the time because this man runs late. And we'd be sitting there waiting to eat our tamales, waiting to open presents for like 2-3 hours because my grandma did not want to start without him. And so finally my aunts were like, fuck this shit. We're going to start. And they did it one year and my grandma got so mad. And then we just like had to wait. And it's like, being responsible, when you do those things, you're basically telling your son like that their needs are above everybody else's.
Yeah.
And like, there's this whole thing about like, oh, well, we have to protect like the women in our family, like even brothers, like cock blocking, not letting their sisters date, fucking trying to intimidate. Yeah. It's like, and you're always like the brothers are the ones who end up getting the psycho girlfriends, and the sisters are the ones that have to like end up doing the
My
protection.
brother never cock blocked me, that's for sure. Or pussy blocked.
You guys are probably competing for the same girls. That's
probably. No.
You have different tastes.
Yes, ma'am, we do. Moving on. That's another subject for another day. Let's see. Growing up in a Hispanic family, you have to say hi to every single person at a party.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't, you're considered rude, grosera, se cree, you know, like all this other shit. Like, I will never forget, like, when I started taking Susie to parties, like, at least me, I've seen a lot of people in my family not do it. I, till this day, still do it. I go say hi to every single person. I say hi to every single person, give them a hug and a kiss. Um, and one time Susie, we had gone to one of the parties and Susie was like saying hi to everybody, you know, like from afar kind of. And it was your mother-in-law who told her, She said, no, ma'am. She's like, in this family, you say hi to every single person. And Susie just kind of smiled and she's like, starting with me. So work your way from me all the way around the table. And there goes Susie giving everybody a hug and a kiss. And they're like, we're your tias. You know what I mean? Like, you have to say hi to all your aunts. But growing up and with Lita and Lito, like, always said hi.
Yeah.
And I remember one time Susie got mad. It was like literally right after COVID and we went to a party. Susie's like, COVID is still going on. Don't say hi to anybody by hugs and kisses. What's the first thing I do?
Girl, I would.
I went and gave my uncle a hug and a kiss, and I'm like, "Cómo está?" And Susie's like looking at me from afar, like
bitch,
like, bitch, did I fucking tell you not to fucking? Because COVID was seriously still going. Like, it had just kind of like slowed down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But that's one. Let's see.
Oh, you know, I want to say something
Go
really
ahead, ma'am.
quickly. Go ahead. Well, you know, I think the thing too is like when you have kids, everyone's like, oh, kiss them, say bye. It's like when we force children to do that kind of, I'm always like, if you want to, great. If not, that's okay. I mean, I've been to parties where, you know, like a family friend will be there and they'll tell their kids to hug and kiss me. And I'm like, I don't even know this kid. You don't know me either. So sometimes I'll just say, you can just shake my hand if that's okay. Because to me, it's like when we're forcing kids to like do that, it's like they don't know these people. Like, you know, and so it's like one thing to say hello or shake your hand, whatever. You know, and I think to me, people get like they read so much into the like, oh, if you don't say hi to me, blah blah blah, you know. And I've literally had people turn their back to me.
That's another podcast.
That's for another day. And that's fine. It's like, okay, but don't go and then tell people like, oh, I'm being rude because I won't say hi to you the next time. Well, you've shown me that you do not want me to do that. So I will respect that. But in terms of like, you know, saying hi to people and stuff, it's like, yeah, I'll say hi to people. But if you know, give me the body language that tells me you don't want me to, then I will respect that, you know, but then don't turn around and say, you know, that I'm being rude or blah, 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 whatever. So, and for my family, you know, we were the same, but my mom was always like, don't hug and kiss people. Like she just was like, you know, unless it was like her sisters or like my aunts and uncles that we knew we spent time with if I felt comfortable. But my mom actually was pretty good about like that kind of stuff with us, like making us like be protective of ourselves. And I did the same for my own child. So my own child's like, peace.
No, yeah. And you know, I think with when we have our kid, I'm gonna be like super careful too, because you know the shit that I went through as a kid. Like, you can't really trust anybody. Like, not even obviously your family. My dad's brother was the one who fucking, you know, ended up hurting me. You know, and it's like you grow up, you know, with, you know, people telling you like your family is who's gonna protect you, and no, they don't. You know, your own family ends up hurting you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that with my kid, I'll probably teach him the Emilio way, like the fucking peace from afar, you know, unless it's like my actual immediate, you know what I mean? Or stuff like that. But
I mean, and the thing is that, you know, when we're aware, we bring up the things that are like dangerous or toxic to, you know, that we don't like, and we make people aware of that. Like, that's like breaking those chains. Cause, you know, I think especially in your case, like someone did that to him. You know, and what happens in many families is that it's just swept under the rug. Like, oh, like people whisper behind you know, behind the scenes saying like, oh, you know, he's a creep or whatever. But everyone's still inviting them to the parties. And that's the really unfortunate thing, is that there are still people engaging and putting him in contact with young children. And then it's like, this, you're just setting this up to happen again.
Or like, I don't know. It upsets me when I hear that people, that people talk shit on people that actually come forward and actually said something that, hey, he hurt me. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you've been through what we've been through, then you can't speak on it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, it's just keeping. So one thing about like something like that, or just like any very toxic family behavior, is anyone that disrupts that. Because what happens is now he can't come into the family fold again and act like everything's okay.
Fuck no.
Because people have you who were so courageous to do it, and some other folks that were very courageous to do it came out and said something. And the same goes for anyone that is calling out dysfunctional family dynamics. Like, you become the scapegoat, you become the enemy, especially when it's like fucking up the vibe for everybody else, because they're like, oh shit, well, you called it out on this person and this person doesn't want to be around you, so you're the one who's causing all this. So if you just be quiet about it, then everything can go back to normal for us. So people are coming at it from their own self-interests in terms of like keeping this shit going. But in the meantime, people have been hurt.
Yeah. And something that sucks that I've witnessed too is, if your family is so close, then why are you upset when someone calls bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you upset? Like, you should actually be thankful that people are calling bullshit. You know what I'm saying? To better your family. You know what I'm saying? Like, to better that circle. But instead, people want to be upset at the person who speaks up all the time.
Yeah.
And that really sucks. You know what I mean? Like,
it's really just about the accountability, right? It's like, so, that the book that I had read, it's like Adult Children of Emotionally Mature Parents. Like, when you call your parents out for some shit they did, the first thing a lot of our parents do, especially if they're fucking boomers, they go, I must have just been a bad mom. I must have been. It's like, listen, this is not about you.
Yeah.
This is about stuff you did. This is about how I feel about it. To actually say, I'm sorry I hurt you, is like a big step. And, that's something that we continually try to do. Because listen, I lose my shit more often than I would like to admit. But sometimes I just, have had it. And I am like, there was a better way to say this. There was a better way to deal with this. And sometimes I'll just go, I'm really sorry that I lost my patience with you today. I just am feeling, this way about it. And I felt frustrated and I should have said it a different way, XYZ. And that's big, because that's my child seeing how, as an adult, when you do something to make someone feel a certain way, you apologize and mean it. Because, the fact of the matter is, we cannot we can't decide how someone has been hurt by us.
Yeah.
We can tell them what our intention was, but it's really like the impact that counts. Because, it's like, well, we must have said something, right? I mean, there's been times where people are like, I didn't like that you said this. And it's like, well,
I don't care.
No, that's not the right way to deal with it. But in terms of like, when someone starts saying, you made me feel this way, I didn't like this, but it's part of the regular family behavior, it's part of the fold.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to look at their behavior and go like, hold on a second. We got to start changing stuff. We have to start acknowledging that this is not okay. People are not willing to do that.
Yeah.
If they haven't done the work, they're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the hard part about doing this work, is that there's a lot of people that you kind of end up leaving behind because they're not open to this. You're always going to be seen as like the person, the bad person, the villain.
El enemigo.
The villain. And I'm like, bitch, well, I'm in my villain era and it will not be ending anytime soon. So
Moving on. Sharing holidays with your significant others, families, like you're breaking traditions. I know my family gets mad about that.
Oh, shit.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really go around for the holidays anymore. Like, I'll stop by, drop off gifts. But that's about it. You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with me not wanting to be around my family. It's just sometimes I'd rather just, you know what I mean? Like surround myself.
Keep it cute.
Yeah. You know what I mean? But I remember in the beginning, Lita wasn't very happy about us. Like, for example, I remember the first Thanksgiving. Was it Thanksgiving? No, the first Easter. I would always dress up as the Easter bunny. So I remember I told Lita, like, I was so scared. I told Susie, like, I'm scared because we're going to go to Arizona with Susie's family. And I remember I told Lita, like, I went to go visit her and we are talking and she was like, oh, you know, like, are you, like, no, for Easter, we're going to eat this and do this. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah,
And I was
I
like,
won't be there, sis.
I was like, Lita, I'm not coming over for Easter. She's like, excuse me? And I was like, I won't be here for Easter. She's like, why? Why can't you go to her family and then you guys can come here? And I was like, her family lives in Arizona. And she was like, you're going to Arizona for Easter? And I was like, she's like, you never go to Arizona. I'm like, I know, but we're trying something different. And she was like, and then for Thanksgiving, that one was a big one too. Like I had to tell her, like, we're spending Thanksgiving at these families again. She's like, why? You guys never do that before. But I'm like, I know, but not, like, because I wouldn't come around her family before, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now they love me. So now I'm coming, you know what I'm saying?
Y'all up in the shit now.
Yeah, I'm a Fabian now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was something big. I don't know if it was for Frank and for you, but sharing holidays has always been hard. Not anymore, but it used to in the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it's not a problem
No.
sadly. But we used to alternate. So what we would do is do like one, especially when we had a child. When we had a child, it was like we had to figure it out because, you know, we wanted our child to have an opportunity to, you know, do like one there, one here. And we lived, you know, in a different part of the state. So we had to do that.
Yeah.
So usually what we did was we did the big holidays. So it was like Christmas
Out here.
or Thanksgiving. So one year we do Thanksgiving here, one year we do Christmas, the next year we do Christmas, and we'd stay through New Year's. So that actually worked out pretty good. And like sometimes if we happen to come like for 4th of July, we would do that, or for Easter. So we kind of would have really, you know, it would just kind of depend on some of the other holidays and stuff. And then when we moved here, we would usually do like, I would do Mother's Day with my mom in the morning, and then we'd go to his mom's in the afternoon. And then Father's Day, my dad was like, you know, doing his own thing. So we'd do Father's Day. We did a lot of the holidays like 4th of July and everything. And then for Christmas, my family usually does Christmas Day, his does Christmas Eve. So it worked out perfectly. For Thanksgiving, we always did with my family.
Yeah.
Since we had spent so many of the other holidays, I think it was just because there's a lot of people. It just was like nice for Emilio to be with like all of his cousins and stuff. And, you know, obviously that's changed now that, you know, we are like no contact, but, you know, it's like you just have to work it out and try to make it fair. Try to, you know, to both families, depending on the relationship that you have. But I think people, honestly, like, it's not fair for families to have to run around. Like, it's very hard to be like, okay, in the morning, we're going to be here. Then I have to leave and go somewhere else. Like, if you have a small kid, that's really hard on them. And I think it's like you can offer people like, hey, you know, let's celebrate on this day, or let me take you out to breakfast on like Saturday, or we'll do brunch. And sometimes actually we would do that too, because, but then I started to think like when it came to Mother's Day, like the last Mother's Day we spent with Frank's family was not good for me. And for a lot of reasons. And I don't need the tissue, man. But and I just started to think like, I'm a mom, like, why can't I do something I want to do? Like no tea, no shade, no lemonade. But, you know, like as much fun as I used to have, like, be hanging out and all that stuff, it's like, well, maybe I wanted to, do something else. So I think that sometimes when you start to like change stuff up, people tend to really take that very difficult or very hard because, that change is difficult for them. But I think you have to do what is best for your little family.
Yeah. And I think that's why Lita was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? And like in the beginning, my family was too, because Susie's family really wouldn't celebrate anything, like they would do Thanksgiving. So we would go there in the morning, spend the morning with her family, eat like in the afternoon. And then we would end up, at Lita's, you know what I mean? For Christmas, we would celebrate Christmas Eve with my family. Then we would do Christmas Day with hers. But her family really wouldn't do anything until Haley started getting older. That's when Susie started. Susie, she's Mrs. Claus. So she would go all out for like Christmas and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So we started celebrating more and more as Haley got older. So I think that when the baby gets here, I think I'm going to want the baby to experience like Christmas Eve with Lita. You know what I mean? Like, it's awesome. Like having Christmas Eve with Lita. Like I remember since we were little, like, wait, everybody, do you believe in Santa? I'm just kidding. Like for Christmas, like someone would get on the roof and we would all go hide in Lita's room. And someone would go on the roof and would start walking. And then someone would like shake like bells by the Lita's room. And Lita's like, Santa Claus is here. And we would all be like shitting our fucking selves. We were like, oh my God. And then we would lay cookies out and Lito would bite the cookies, drink some of the milk. And then they would knock on the door, Lita's room. So they'd be like, okay, we're ready to go out. So Lita would go first and she'd be kind of like looking around, making sure Santa wasn't there.
Aww.
And then we would go in the living room and boom, dude, all the gifts would be there. And we would literally finish to like 2:30 in the morning.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And every grandkid had to open up one gift first before, you start picking different ones and stuff like that. Like you had to wait till you opened the present and showed everybody what you got.
That's why it was till 2 in the morning. Because how many grandkids are there?
Dude, that's a lot. I don't even know. There's a lot of us. I don't even know. I'm gonna have to provide that for you guys on the next podcast.
Probably at least 50 of you.
There's a lot of us, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
your grandma's so cute. I love how she just like,
she
just really goes all out for her grandkids. Like she really loves them so much.
Yeah, that's why I pray, dude, every night, like, God, keep Lita here as long as you can. I want my baby to meet Lita. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, she's getting older. You know what I mean? She's getting older and stuff like that. So I just pray on it every day. Like, keep her with us. Like she's doing good. She has good days and bad days. You know what I mean? But I just pray. Let her meet my baby. You know what I mean? But yeah, before we start crying, moving on.
Here you go.
Or how about you can't go? This happened this past weekend. You can't go swimming after you eat because you're gonna get a cramp. You're gonna get a cramp, and then you can't lay down after you finish eating because se te va a romper una tripa.
Like you're gonna get your intestines all twisted.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but we were at my sister's this weekend, and one of my cousin's little boys was trying to go swimming right after he ate, and everyone's like, no, you cannot. You have to wait at least 30 minutes. Like, and I was like, what the hell? And the mom was like, I don't even believe that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, but because everybody says you can't go swimming because you're going to get a cramp and then you're going to drown.
There's nothing like the shame game when you're a parent, man, especially from your fucking parents and everyone else. And I'm like, listen, y'all really fucked us up and let us watch fucking Freddy Krueger when we were 8 years old. So y'all really need to chill over here.
Like, I'm not scared of none of that shit. Like, I'm not scared of Michael Myers. Like, why? Because my mom brought us up watching all that shit.
I know, your freaking little nephew with his freaking
they put my mom has a
Chucky doll,
and she took the clothes off Chucky and put it on Damien. That was funny, dude. And then they did it to Ava and Avery. Like, they took the clothes off the bride and put it on Avery, and then took the Chucky off and put it on Ava.
Oh boy.
Yeah, if you go to my mom's house on Halloween, like, she has a bunch of shit out.
She's definitely into it. But I
Yeah.
think that, like, I mean, I think there are definitely like these little like wives' tales that are probably true.
Yeah.
But then there's some that you're like, what?
Like laying down after you eat, like I've done that. It happened to me.
I don't even know. My fat ass be laying on the couch eating fucking popcorn and ice cream, and I'm okay.
How about you have to baptize your baby?
Yeah, well, so let me tell you why they say that. Because when we baptized our child, they basically, for years and years, they have, and which a lot of Christian religions believe that if you're not baptized and you go to heaven, God is like, to hell, beep, immediately. So what they
Well,
did,
we're going to hell anyways because we're gay. So
well, because so they used to actually baptize people later when they were older, which a lot of Christian, like evangelical churches and like new Christian churches do, because they believe like you should be like atoning for sins, and obviously babies don't have sins because they're just babies. But then I think there was this movement early, like in the Catholic Church, where they were like, listen, we got to baptize these kids because if something happens, because like a lot of babies used to die back in the day,
yeah.
and they were like afraid that these little baby souls were going to go, which
What
is,
the
I'm not laughing, but that they were going to go straight to hell. So then that's when they started baptizing babies.
Yeah.
This is what my baptismal class people told me. So I don't know how much of that is true or not. I'm just, I'm just sharing the information. So that's basically why they do that. But I think this kind of goes back to like religion, and sometimes there are, like, what I liked about being Catholic was just like the different customs. I just really appreciated that, and how it was just tied to my spirituality. Like having your child make a first communion, like that's such a big thing in a Mexican family, or baptisms. Like it's not just the act of that itself, but just like the celebration of it. Like, but as I am kind of, changing my opinion on that, it's like hard because, sometimes people don't feel connected in that way,
Yeah.
and they don't want to do that. But then, people, like my nephew's not baptized. My sister never baptized him, but somehow I'm still his godmother.
I mean, I take the whole godparent thing very serious when it
I
comes
do
to my
too.
kids. Like, yeah.
I'll teach you about life.
That's what Lita
The
says.
mean streets.
I remember Lita used to say, like, whenever you get, and once again, it's probably a Mexican myth, but she used to say, like, whenever you're asked to be a godparent, you always say yes. You never deny it. And that's a step to heaven. Like, that's one step closer to heaven.
I got like
So,
5 god kids,
let me
so
see. I'm a 1, 2. I'm like 4 steps up. So I'm right behind you, girl. All right. What about as long as you're living under my roof, you'll do what I say?
yeah. I mean,
This ain't your roof, motherfucker.
it's like you rent this place. Just kidding. Yeah. I mean, my mom was very strict. Like it was kind of like I could not. Obviously, I could never have a guy in my room ever. I'm like, listen,
That's what you should have said. They were
we're
your best
still gonna
friends.
do it. We're gonna do it in a car instead of my room.
You
Just
should have
kidding,
just said he was your best friend.
girl.
He should have just pretended to be gay.
I know. But then it's like, when we kind of like brainwash kids, well, yeah, to like, oh, you have to obey everything I say because
Yeah.
I'm an authority figure. Like you kind of set kids up to be in these relationships when they become an adult where they are having to be told what to do by people. And that can just lead to just I think in some ways, depending on the severity, it can really lead to some of these abusive relationships.
Yeah.
And so, my thing has always been like, listen, don't start none, won't be none. That's one thing I used to say. And I used to just, always kind of have this like attitude of, unless you give me a reason to not trust you, then I'm going to let you kind of explore and life and do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Whereas my mom was like so controlling, she didn't want us to go here or do this. I just felt like it was so depressing because, she she would just want to control everything that we were doing. And if we didn't, she just came down so hard on us. And, I think that ended up working. We just learned how to lie, and for like many years, even after I moved out, I felt like I still had to lie about stuff that it was stupid, like stupid stuff. Cause I had just learned this behavior of, well, I'll pretend on the outside that I'm really like obedient, but I'm really doing some shady shit, like sneaking out and stuff. I snuck out like 3 times.
Esas son cosas del diablo.
I know. I went joyriding with my best friend from high school and elementary school, Becky. We're still friends.
Shout out to Becky.
I love her. And she got a car, like this little beater Buick. She got a little car and she was 15 and a half. And her parents used to let her practice driving in it. So she kind of like knew how to drive before she was 16 to get her license. So one time she called, and this is before cell phones, text. We could not do any of the sneaky communication that kids can do now.
What about a beeper?
No, I mean, we were still in high school. Like, okay. We didn't have any of that stuff. So she called me and she said, listen, I'm going to show up in your alley at 3:00 in the morning and we're going to go out. We're going to go joyriding. What are you
doing at 3:00 in the morning?
Girl, we go. Oh, nothing's open. Okay. Nothing's all we're here. We're just driving around freaking our little town that we lived in. And we go to 7-Eleven because we think we're so cool.
And the cops are there.
My fucking math teacher was there.
Oh shit.
My like sophomore year math teacher was there, fucking drunk, getting his munchies. Some lady was in a car waiting for him. We had to hide in the aisle for like 10 minutes till he left. And then we were like, oh shit. He's probably like my age out fucking partying and shit. And was like, I need some Cheetos or something.
What the heck?
We literally drove around for like an hour. I sneaked back in and that was that. But one time they went to dinner. My dad and my mom went to dinner with their friends. And so I was like, okay, I know they're going to be gone for 3 hours. I get in my car and I drive like almost a half an hour to my boyfriend's house in my mom's car. And I was not supposed to take her car.
I think I heard this story before.
So I go see him and looking back, I'm like, that was not worth it.
And it was
no, not even.
Right.
He was just like, anyways. So I come back home. I don't see my dad's car. I'm like, I'm in the clear. Park the car, go up to my room. I'm up there listening to my CDs on my big ass boombox, chill as fuck. My sister Carolina comes in. She's like, you're in trouble. And I'm like, why? She's like, they know you took the car. And I'm like, what the fuck? She's like, yeah. She's like, they had to come back to get something and the car was gone and they knew you took it. And I was like, oh. So then my parents come home and my mom's like, and I was like, I just went to the store. She's like, I told you, you cannot take the car for anything. And I was like, so then I got in trouble. I couldn't drive for like a month.
And that must have sucked for you.
I know. But it's like when we kind of like get kids so like restricted, they will always find ways to.
I hated that though. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a curfew at fucking 17, hitting 18 already. Like I used to hate it too. Like I used to go to the block and hang out and stuff like that. And I would literally just get to the block and my dad would be blowing me up to hurry up and come home. Or if I wanted to go hang out, I had to bring my sister with me.
Ay, que la.
I had to bring Honda with me. And I remember Mariana used to be like, why does she always have to come? And I'm like, because if she doesn't come, then I can't come. And Honda's like, and if you don't want me here, then Chubby's is not going to be here. Like fucking little brat.
Little
dude.
snitch.
She's a little brat.
Did you tell her snitches get stitches?
No. But she used to like, I remember I would always have her with me and stuff like that. And then when she got older, she would get mad because my dad would be on her ass too. Like I would let her borrow my driver's license to go to clubs and stuff like that. And she's like, I barely got here. He's already blowing me up to come home. And I was like, welcome to my world.
Girl.
But yeah, like I used to hate him putting like so many rules on me, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing that.
I think that some parents still have this idea that like you have to come down so hard on your kids and then they're going to come out like these obedient little, like,
Look what happened to me.
Girl, and me too. We got stories for days.
Fucking rebel, dude.
I know. And then I have this kid. I'm like, sure.
I know Emilio's like chilling though,
Dude,
like chilling.
This kid has
Emilio's-
a fucking credit card now and is like, I'm like scared. I'm like, listen, don't be going buck wild. Freaking went to the thrift store today. Who knows how much you spent? But but like just thinking like this kid has, I've never said curfew. I've never said anything because I'm like, listen, the time you give me a reason not to trust you, like I'm going to trust you.
Yeah.
Like you've never given me a reason. I told Frank the other day, I'm like, we are goddamn lucky we have a kid that is into anime and, and musical theater.
I said, you're lucky that his sweetheart doesn't live around here because
and is a lesbian, so that's another plus for us. I kind of was like, the way in which this child has lived life is so different from us. And, it's like, I know that I've done things that have probably traumatized my child, and I think that's just like, has to do with the fact that, there's these ingrained patterns that we have in our culture, because I do want to say like, yeah, there's a lot of things that we all experience as Mexican Americans, as, Mexican who have immigrant parents. Yes. But I think too, every family has their own culture of how they're raising their children.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Emilio was a baby, Frank tried to give him something and I said, hey, hold on, you can't give that till they're this age. And he's like, that's what Mexicans do. And I said, not my Mexicans.
Oh yeah, like you can't give them any food until you make caldo de res for them. Until you eat, at least with us, until you ate caldo de res, then you can eat anything else you wanted to eat.
Yeah. So, so it's like different things that families do. They definitely, like, it's all different, but I think there's larger things that our culture has learned as ways to survive trauma, like the trauma of being colonized by the Spanish. So y'all motherfuckers really fucked us up. But, but there's so many great like resilience behaviors that we've learned. Like I think one of the things is like, you just think, when you come to this country, your parents really learn how to hustle, how to take care of you. Like, I can't imagine going to like, another country like France and having to learn the language and get a job and try to support children. I can't imagine that. And the fact that you have, like my grandparents doing that. So there's going to be some kind of effect of that. But at the same time, it's like, it's our job to say those things no longer serve us in the way that it did before. So there's some things that we can change, but there are some good things that have come out of this that we should preserve. We should keep.
Yeah.
Something
Susie, something really big that Susie did was she took me to Mexico, and her family is not like, it was for her parents' wedding anniversary, and I remember that I was scared because I didn't know what type of reaction her family was gonna have. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think they were ever introduced to that. You know what I'm saying? Like having one of their
introduced to what?
Like a girl, like Susie taking her girlfriend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But dude, like. I love her family. Her family,
they're amazing folks.
Are amazing, dude. They were super, 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 super accepting. They were super welcoming, very lovable, like hugging, kissing, like, welcoming me, feeding, like just everything. But that was something new to her because, her mom, she's from Mexico and they're different than, someone out here like my family, like that's why I say it was easier for me to come out than it was for her. Because her mom was expecting her to marry a guy and have kids with the guy and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So when you're introduce a guy to the family, you know what I'm saying? And when you bring a lesbian, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's different. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was something big too. You know what I mean? For us, because, you don't grow up, with your family saying, oh, it's okay for you to bring a girl around, because now you do, but back then, no. You know what I'm saying?
Especially in Mexico where it's very like strongly Catholic.
I maybe saw like 3 lesbians is what I was
Well,
saying.
they live in a small town, but I
Yeah.
did see some steads out there. I was like, you ain't the only one, girl.
Yeah.
They t-
Like, and there were older ones too. And I was like, all
Yeah.
right, I can see myself
They
living out
probably saw you
here.
walking on the street. They're like, it's safe. Everyone come out.
No, yeah, but that was pretty cool too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was different. You know, that
Yeah.
was breaking Mexican stereotypes. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I mean,
It's hot in here.
it is her family.
What fucking heating up in here?
You're like, yeah, her family's great. We've met them too. And I think too, it's like, you know, just there's so many great things about like, for us who live here to reconnect to in Mexico, like so many traditions, so many, you know, of these things that have been part of our culture that we've lost, our families have lost coming here, which I think we should continue to, you know, like bring back into our families and our culture.
Yeah.
But there are things that, you know, we have to work to eliminate because they have not helped us. So I think it's a good balance. We just have to continue to do that. So
Yeah.
anyhow.
And that's all I got on my list.
Well, I think that was a great conversation because I think, you know, sometimes when we grow up with a culture, we just think, well, that's normal. Everyone does it. But as we start to do like healing, we're like, wait a minute, like that's not actually okay. And I didn't like that. And for some families, they're going to continue that because it works for them and they're okay with it. But these ladies right here, we're putting the chop on
Yes,
those
ma'am.
things. Anywho, well, thanks for joining us. And we will be back in 2 weeks as we usually are.
Yeah, we apologize for the delay. My hours suck at work, and I'm tired. I come home from work really tired because of all the hours.
And they're preparing for a baby on the way, so it's a pretty exciting but can be overwhelming process.
Yeah,
and so we wanted to give them the space to do that. So,
but we appreciate all of you guys that are still supporting us and, you know, liking our stuff and following and subscribing and stuff like that. And you know what? Like, it just sucks because it's like you have so many friends on social media and it's like not even half of those people follow. And it sucks because it's like, I thought we're friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, friends should be supporting friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like I don't see that support that I would like to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really sucks, but whatever. I mean, I guess that's how life is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, follow us or we will delete you off our
social media. No, but thank you guys for the love and support, especially those of you that always ask, like, when's the next podcast?
I know we have some really, really amazing followers. So anyhow, we'll have a great
4th of July.
Well, yeah.
Easy with them hot dogs.
And we will see you again soon. Take care.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.